Introduction. As I delve deeper into the investigation, the weight of the past and the uncertain present bear heavily on my shoulders. The memory of Fireteam Cerberus's glory days juxtaposed against the stark reality of its disbandment fuels my determination. Each step I take towards uncovering the truth is fraught with danger, but the echoes of past camaraderie and betrayal drive me forward. Jackson, are you sure about this? Samir's voice crackles through the comms, his tone a mix of concern and uncertainty. I pause for a moment, taking a deep breath before responding. I don't have much of a choice, do I? We need to get to the bottom of this. For Cerberus. For all of us. The journey to reconciliation and revelation is paved with tension and unease. Samir and I, once inseparable, now find ourselves navigating the murky waters of distrust and regret. The memories of our shared victories and the bitter taste of betrayal are ever present, haunting our every move. Chapter 1. Flashback. The room is dimly lit, filled with the hum of machinery and the soft glow of monitors. I see myself, younger and full of hope, standing beside Samir. We had just returned from a successful mission, the air thick with the scent of adrenaline and victory. That was close, Samir says, wiping sweat from his brow. But we did it. Cerberus did it. I smile, clapping him on the back. We always do, Samir. That's why we're the best. The memory fades, replaced by the stark reality of the present. The years have taken their toll on both of us, but the bond we once shared still lingers, albeit strained and fragile. Jackson, I've been thinking, Samir's voice pulls me from my reverie. About everything that happened. About why I left. I can hear the hesitation in his voice, the weight of unspoken words. Go on, I urge, my curiosity piqued. It wasn't just the promotion, he admits. There were threats. Warnings. They told me if I didn't leave Cerberus, something bad would happen. To us. To you. The revelation hits me like a punch to the gut. Why didn't you tell me? I demand, frustration and hurt evident in my voice. I thought I was protecting you, Samir replies, his voice pained. I thought I was protecting all of us. Chapter 2. As we continue our investigation, the pieces of the puzzle begin to fall into place. The disbandment of Cerberus wasn't a mere bureaucratic decision, it was a calculated move by a faction within the military. They feared our power, our influence, and the potential threat we posed to their clandestine operations. Look at this, I say, pointing to a series of encrypted messages we've managed to decode. These orders came from high up. They knew exactly what they were doing. Samir leans over, his brow furrowed in concentration. This doesn't make sense. Why would they go to such lengths to dismantle us? Because we were a threat, I reply grimly. We knew too much. We were too capable. They couldn't control us, so they decided to eliminate us. The realization is sobering, but it also strengthens our resolve. We need to expose this conspiracy, not just for ourselves, but for the safety of everyone involved. Another flashback. The team is gathered in the briefing room, the atmosphere tense but charged with determination. Connolly, one of our most trusted members, is presenting the mission details. This isn't going to be easy, he says, his voice steady but filled with conviction. But I know we can do it. We're Cerberus, and we don't back down from a challenge. The team nods in agreement, their faces set with resolve. We knew the risks, but we also knew the stakes. Failure wasn't an option. The memory fades, replaced by the present. Connolly's words echo in my mind, a reminder of the strength and unity that once defined us. Despite the betrayals and the pain, that spirit still lives on. Chapter 3. Jackson, Samir's voice breaks through my thoughts. We need to talk. About us. About everything. I take a deep breath, steeling myself for what is to come. You're right. We do. We find a quiet corner, away from prying eyes and ears. The air is thick with unspoken words and lingering tension. Why didn't you trust me? I ask, my voice barely above a whisper. Samir sighs, running a hand through his hair. It wasn't about trust, Jackson. It was about survival. I made a choice, a difficult one, but I thought it was the right thing to do. And now? I press. Do you still think it was the right choice? He looks at me, his eyes filled with a mix of regret and determination. No. I realize now that I made a mistake. But we can't change the past. All we can do is move forward. As we dig deeper into the conspiracy, the danger becomes more palpable. The faction that orchestrated the disbandment of Cerberus isn't going to let us expose them without a fight. We're getting close, I say, my voice filled with a mix of excitement and apprehension. They know we're onto them. Samir nods, his eyes hardening with resolve. Then we need to be ready. Whatever happens, we stand together. Just like old times. The sentiment is comforting, a reminder of the bond we once shared. Despite the betrayals and the pain, the spirit of Cerberus still lives on within us. Final flashback. The team is gathered for what would be our final mission together. The air is heavy with anticipation and uncertainty. Whatever happens out there, I say, my voice steady but filled with emotion. Know that I'm proud of each and every one of you. We've faced countless challenges, and we've always come out stronger. Let's do it one more time. The team nods in agreement, their faces set with determination. We knew the risks, but we also knew the stakes. Failure wasn't an option. The memory fades, replaced by the present. The echoes of the past serve as a reminder of our strength and unity. Despite the betrayals and the pain, that spirit still lives on. Jackson, Samir's voice pulls me from my reverie. Let's finish this. Together. I nod, my resolve strengthening. Together. Chapter 4. As we uncover the final pieces of the puzzle, the truth is laid bare. The faction within the military had orchestrated the disbandment of Cerberus out of fear and paranoia. They had underestimated our resolve, our determination, and our unwavering bond. We did it, Samir says, his voice filled with a mix of relief and triumph. We exposed them. I smile, the weight of the past lifting from my shoulders. Yes, we did. For Cerberus. For all of us. But just as the sense of victory begins to settle, a sharp pain shoots through my head. The world around me blurs and distorts, the echoes of the past and present merging into a chaotic symphony. Jackson. Samir's voice is distant, filled with panic. Hang on. The pain intensifies, and darkness consumes me. When I finally regain consciousness, the sound of a ringing phone pulls me back to reality. The memories of the past and the revelations of the present swirl in my mind, a reminder of the journey we've been through and the battles still to come. As I reach for the phone, I can't help but wonder what the future holds. But one thing is certain, the spirit of Cerberus will never die. We will continue to fight, to uncover the truth, and to protect those we hold dear. Together. Chapter 5. The message arrived late in the evening, just as I was settling into a rare moment of peace. The screen of my old, trusty comm device blinked urgently, the sender's name making my heart skip a beat, Samir. I opened the message with a mix of anticipation and dread, my instincts already sensing that whatever news it contained would not be good. Jackson, I need to speak with you urgently. The Cerberus has been officially disbanded. There are no active members left. I'm sorry. I read and reread the words, each time hoping they would somehow change, that Samir had made a mistake, or that this was some sort of cruel joke. But the cold, stark reality of the message seeped into my bones. The Cerberus, the elite unit I had devoted the best years of my life to, was no more. Disbanded. No active members. My mind swirled with questions and doubts. How could this have happened? Why now? And what had Samir done to let this occur? I felt a deep, gnawing sense of betrayal. Samir had been my friend, my confidant, and the one I trusted to carry on the legacy of the Cerberus. I had groomed him for leadership, believing wholeheartedly in his capabilities. Had I been wrong about him all along? Unable to sit still, I paced the room, my thoughts racing. The Cerberus wasn't just a unit, it was a family. Each member was a brother or sister in arms, bound by trust, loyalty, and shared sacrifice. The notion that it had been torn apart was unbearable. I had to get answers. My thoughts were interrupted by the familiar ping of an incoming call. It was Samir. "Jackson, are you there?" His voice was tense, laden with the weight of the news he had just delivered. "Yeah, I'm here," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady despite the turmoil inside me. "What the hell happened, Samir? How could the Cerberus be disbanded?" There was a pause on the other end, a hesitation that only fueled my anger. "Look, Jackson, it's complicated. I didn't want this to happen. I fought against it, but the higher-ups made the decision. They said the Cerberus had become too powerful, too uncontrollable." "Uncontrollable?" I echoed, incredulous. "We were the best because we had to be. We accomplished missions no one else could. And now, because of that, we're being punished." "It's not just that," Samir continued, his voice heavy with resignation. "There were concerns about the influence we wielded. Some factions felt threatened by our autonomy and our capabilities. I could feel the anger rising within me, a burning frustration that had no outlet. And you just let this happen, Samir? You were supposed to protect the Cerberus, to protect our legacy." "I didn't have a choice, Jackson," he said, his voice cracking. "They gave me an ultimatum. Either step down and accept the disbandment, or face a court-martial for insubordination. It wasn't just about me, it was about protecting the team from further repercussions." I was silent for a moment, absorbing his words. The betrayal I felt was still raw, but I also recognized the impossible position he had been put in. "So what now?" I finally asked, my voice softer, the anger giving way to a deep, aching sadness. "What happens to us, to the team?" "Most of the team members have been reassigned to different units," Samir explained. "Some have taken leaves of absence. As for me, I've been promoted to captain of the OSA." The mention of his promotion was like a punch to the gut. "So you got a promotion out of this?" I couldn't keep the bitterness out of my voice. "It wasn't a reward, Jackson," Samir said quietly. "It was a way to get me out of the picture, to ensure the Cerberus was truly disbanded. I'm sorry. I know how much this unit meant to you, to all of us." I took a deep breath, trying to steady my emotions. "We need to meet, Samir. We need to talk about this face to face. There's too much at stake to let this go without understanding everything." "Agreed," he said. "Let's meet tomorrow at the old base. I'll explain everything." As the call ended, I felt a mix of determination and despair. The Cerberus was more than just a unit, it was a symbol of everything we had fought for. I couldn't let it go without a fight. And I needed to know why Samir, my friend and successor, had let it all fall apart. Chapter 6. The moment I decided to confront Samir was when I realized that I couldn't live with the uncertainty gnawing at me. I needed answers, and I needed them from him. Samir had been more than a successor, he had been a friend, a trusted comrade. The news of his promotion and the subsequent abandonment of the Fireteam Cerberus had left me feeling betrayed and bewildered. I had to know why. I arranged to meet Samir at a small, nondescript cafe on the outskirts of the military base. The place was a haven for soldiers and officers alike, a place to escape the rigidity of military life, if only for a few moments. As I walked in, the familiar scent of coffee and the low hum of conversations filled the air, but I was too preoccupied to notice. My eyes scanned the room until I found him, sitting alone at a corner table, staring into his cup as if it held the answers to the universe. "Samir," I called out, my voice tinged with a mix of anger and disappointment. He looked up, his expression unreadable, and gestured for me to sit. "Jackson," he replied, his tone cautious. "I figured you'd want to talk." "Damn right, I do," I snapped, lowering myself into the chair across from him. "You owe me an explanation. What the hell happened? Why did you leave Cerberus?" He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "It's complicated, Jack. Complicated? I repeated, incredulous. You were supposed to lead Cerberus, to carry on its legacy. Instead, you left it to rot. Samir's eyes met mine, a flash of emotion crossing his face. I didn't want to leave, Jack. But I didn't have a choice. Bullshit, I shot back. There's always a choice. You could have stayed, fought for the team, for what we built together. He leaned back, crossing his arms. And what would that have accomplished? The higher-ups wanted Cerberus disbanded. They saw us as a threat, a wild card they couldn't control. Staying would have only delayed the inevitable. So, you took the easy way out, I said, my voice dripping with sarcasm. You accepted a promotion and left us to fend for ourselves. It wasn't like that, he insisted, his voice rising. I thought I could do more good from a position of influence, that maybe I could protect our team in other ways. Protect us? I scoffed. You abandoned us. Samir's face hardened. You think I don't know that? You think I don't feel the weight of that decision every damn day? But I was trying to save what I could. By leaving us without leadership? I challenged. He took a deep breath, his eyes never leaving mine. I know you're angry, Jack. And you have every right to be. But you need to understand that I did what I thought was best at the time. Best for who? I demanded. For you or for Cerberus? For everyone, he replied quietly. You weren't there, Jack. You didn't see the pressure they put on me, the threats. They wanted Cerberus gone, and they were willing to destroy us to make it happen. I leaned forward, my anger simmering just beneath the surface. So, you just rolled over and let them win? Samir shook his head. No, I fought. I fought every step of the way. But in the end, I had to make a choice. I thought I could find another way to protect us, to keep our legacy alive. And now? I asked, my voice softening slightly. What do you think now? He looked down at his cup, his fingers tracing the rim. Now, I think I might have made a mistake. But I didn't see any other way out at the time. We sat in silence for a moment, the weight of our shared history hanging between us. I wanted to hate him, to blame him for everything that had gone wrong, but his words had struck a chord. I could see the pain in his eyes, the regret. He had made a choice, one that he believed was necessary, even if it had cost us dearly. Samir, I said finally, my voice heavy. I need to know one thing. Was there more to your promotion? Was there something else at play? He hesitated, then nodded slowly. There was. They offered me the position on the Yosa as a way to get me out of the picture. They knew I wouldn't just walk away, so they dangled a carrot in front of me, hoping I'd take the bait. And you did, I said, the realization sinking in. I did, he admitted. But not for the reasons you think. I thought I could use the position to keep an eye on things, to find out what they were really up to. And did you? I asked. He nodded again. I did. And it's worse than we thought. There's a faction within the military, a group with their own agenda. They saw Cerberus as a threat to their plans, and they wanted us out of the way. Plans for what? I pressed. I'm still piecing it together, he said. But it involves some kind of covert operation, something big. They didn't want anyone with the skills and influence of Cerberus interfering. I leaned back, processing his words. So, they promoted you to get rid of you, and you took it to find out what they were up to. Exactly, he said. I didn't abandon Cerberus, Jack. I was trying to protect it in the only way I knew how. I stared at him, my anger slowly giving way to understanding. And now? Now, we need to figure out what their endgame is, he said. And we need to stop it. I nodded, feeling a sense of purpose rekindle within me. Then let's do it. Together. He reached across the table, his hand extended. Together. I shook his hand, the tension between us easing. We had a long road ahead, filled with uncertainty and danger, but at least we were on it together. The echoes of the past still haunted us, but they also guided us, reminding us of what we had built, what we had lost, and what we still had to fight for. Chapter 7. After the emotional confrontation with Samir, I felt an overwhelming need to be alone. The weight of our conversation bore down on me, and I needed space to process everything. I decided to head to a secluded spot on the outskirts of the base, a place where the Cerberus team used to gather for briefings and moments of camaraderie. As I walked through the deserted corridors, memories flooded my mind, each step a reminder of the past. I reached the clearing, the familiar sight of the old hangar evoking a sense of nostalgia. The place was abandoned, with remnants of our past missions scattered around. I sat down on a rusty metal crate, my thoughts racing. The silence was deafening, amplifying the chaos within. "Jackson, you need to get a grip," I muttered to myself, running a hand through my hair. This isn't helping anyone. But it was impossible to escape the memories. They came unbidden, vivid and haunting. Flashback, Operation Silent Storm. The rain was pouring down in torrents, the night sky illuminated by flashes of lightning. Our mission was to infiltrate an enemy facility and gather crucial intelligence. The Cerberus team was tense but focused, each member aware of the stakes. "Jackson, are we clear to move?" Samir's voice crackled through the comms, steady and reliable. "Affirmative, Samir." "Proceed with caution," I replied, my eyes scanning the surroundings. We moved in unison, a well-oiled machine. Connolly was on point, his sharp eyes detecting every potential threat. The mission was going smoothly until an unexpected explosion rocked the facility. Chaos erupted, and we found ourselves in the midst of a firefight. "Fall back! Fall back!" I shouted, trying to regain control. Amidst the gunfire, I saw Connolly take a hit. He went down, and for a moment, time seemed to freeze. The thought of losing him was unbearable. "Connolly, hang in there!" I yelled, rushing to his side. "We need to get him out of here." Samir and I managed to drag Connolly to safety, but the mission was compromised. We barely made it out alive, and the weight of that failure haunted me for years. The memory faded, leaving me with a sense of guilt and responsibility. Connolly had been a crucial part of the team, and his near-death experience was a constant reminder of the dangers we faced. "Hey, Jackson," a familiar voice broke through my reverie. I looked up to see Connolly standing there, a faint smile on his face. He looked older, wearier, but the fire in his eyes was still there. "Connolly," I greeted him, my voice tinged with emotion. "It's been a while." "Yeah, it has," he replied, sitting down beside me. "I heard about the Cerberus. Tough break." "That's one way to put it," I sighed. "I can't help but feel responsible. I trusted Samir to lead, and now everything's falling apart." Connolly gave me a sympathetic look. "We all make mistakes, Jackson. You did what you thought was best at the time." "I don't know," I admitted, frustration evident in my tone. "Maybe I should have seen it coming. Maybe I should have been more involved." "Second-guessing yourself won't change what happened," Connolly said, his voice gentle but firm. "We all have our demons to face." Flashback, the decision to step down. It was a sunny afternoon, the kind of day that seemed almost too perfect for making such a monumental decision. The Cerberus team was gathered in the briefing room, the air heavy with anticipation. "Jackson, are you sure about this?" Connolly asked, concern etched on his face. I took a deep breath, meeting the eyes of each team member. "Yes, I've thought long and hard about this. It's time for me to step down as captain. Samir will take over." There were murmurs of surprise and disbelief. Samir looked stunned, clearly not expecting this turn of events. "But why?" Connolly pressed. "You're the heart of this team, Jackson." "I believe Samir is the right person to lead Cerberus into the future," I explained, trying to convince myself as much as everyone else. "He has the skills, the dedication. It's time for new leadership." The decision wasn't easy, but I felt it was the right one. Little did I know it would lead to the disbandment of the team I had dedicated my life to. The weight of that choice hung heavy in the air between Connolly and me. He seemed to sense my turmoil and placed a reassuring hand on my shoulder. "Jackson, we can't change the past," he said softly. "But we can learn from it. We can make things right." "How?" I asked, feeling a glimmer of hope. "How do we fix this mess?" Connolly leaned back, his gaze distant as if searching for the right words. "We start by understanding what went wrong. We need to piece together the events that led to this point. And we need to do it together." Flashback, the bond of brotherhood. It was a rare moment of downtime. The team gathered around a campfire during a training exercise. The camaraderie was palpable, each member sharing stories and laughter. "Remember the time Jackson tried to cook for us?" Samir teased, eliciting chuckles from everyone. "Hey, I thought it was pretty good." I defended, though I couldn't help but laugh along. "Pretty good for a disaster," Connolly added with a grin. "But that's what made us strong, right? Our bond, our trust in each other." "Yeah," I agreed, feeling a sense of pride. We were more than a team. We were a family. The memory of that bond brought a tear to my eye. We had shared so much, victories, defeats, moments of vulnerability. And now, it felt like everything was crumbling. "Connolly, do you think we can ever get back to that?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. He looked at me with determination. "I believe we can. But it won't be easy. We need to rebuild trust, to face our demons head-on. And we need to find out what's really going on." I nodded, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. "You're right. We owe it to ourselves, to the team. We need to uncover the truth behind the disbandment of Cerberus." As we sat there in the fading light, a sense of resolve settled over us. The journey ahead would be challenging, but with Connolly's support and our shared history, I felt a glimmer of hope. We would face the echoes of the past, confront our mistakes, and strive to rebuild what we had lost. "Let's do this," I said, determination in my voice. "For Cerberus." "For Cerberus," Connolly echoed, a fierce light in his eyes. And with that, we rose, ready to face whatever lay ahead. The past would not define us, but it would guide us as we sought to reclaim our legacy and uncover the truth. Together, we would navigate the shadows, find the answers we sought, and rebuild the bonds that had once made us invincible. The journey was just beginning, and I knew it would be one we faced side by side, as brothers in arms. Chapter 8. As I sit in silence, the weight of the recent events begins to press down on me. The disbandment of Fireteam Cerberus, Samir's promotion, the sense of betrayal, all of it swirls in my mind. Memories flood back, not in a linear fashion but as fragmented pieces of a puzzle that I must now assemble. Each flashback feels like a ghost from the past, whispering secrets and revealing truths that I had long buried. It starts with a simple memory. I'm back on the training grounds with the original members of Cerberus. We were younger then, full of hope and determination. I can almost hear our laughter, the clinking of weapons as we practiced maneuvers. "Jackson, focus." Samir's voice cuts through the air, bringing me back to the present. He was always the one pushing me, challenging me to be better. I remember how I admired his grit and tenacity. All right, I reply with a grin, adjusting my stance. "Let's see if you can keep up." We sparred, and even then, there was a sense of camaraderie and competition that drove us to excel. Little did I know how those early days would shape our futures. Another memory surfaces, a mission gone wrong in the dense jungles of Terran 4. We were ambushed, pinned down by enemy fire. I made a split-second decision to flank our attackers, a move that saved us but left Connolly with a bullet wound. "Jackson, we need to get out of here." Connolly's voice is strained, his face pale from blood loss. "I know, just hold on," I shout back, trying to keep my voice steady. The guilt of that day still lingers, knowing that my decision had put him in harm's way. As I relive these moments, I begin to see a pattern. Each choice, each action, had a ripple effect that led us to where we are now. The butterfly effect is real, and its consequences are far-reaching. My mind shifts to a more recent memory, the day I handed over the leadership of Cerberus to Samir. We stood in the command center, the weight of the moment heavy between us. "You're the best man for the job, Samir," I said, placing a hand on his shoulder. "I trust you to lead Cerberus." "Thank you, Jackson." "I won't let you down," he replied, his eyes filled with determination. I believed him then, but now I wonder if I missed something. Was there a sign, a clue that could have warned me of what was to come? The flashbacks continue, each one a piece of the puzzle. I see the mission where we first encountered Deeg, a mysterious figure who seemed to know more about us than he should. His cryptic messages and veiled threats hinted at a larger conspiracy, one that I had dismissed at the time. "Be careful who you trust," Deeg had warned, his eyes piercing through the holographic screen. "Not everything is as it seems." I had brushed off his words, focusing instead on the immediate threat. But now, in the quiet of my thoughts, I realized that his warning was more significant than I had understood. The next memory is of a quiet evening in the mess hall, just after a successful mission. The team was relaxed, joking and sharing stories. Samir and I sat together, discussing the future of Cerberus. "Do you ever think about what comes next?" he asked, his voice contemplative. "All the time," I replied. "But for now, all that matters is the mission and the team." "Yeah, the team," he echoed, a strange look in his eyes that I didn't recognize at the time. As these memories play out, I start to piece together the puzzle. The choices we made, the missions we undertook, even the friendships we forged, all of it led us here. The butterfly effect is real, and its consequences are far-reaching. Suddenly, a sharp pain shoots through my head, pulling me out of my reverie. I clutch my temples, trying to steady myself, but the pain intensifies. The room spins, and I feel myself slipping away. "Jackson, are you okay?" Connolly's voice is distant, almost drowned out by the roaring in my ears. I don't know," I manage to say before everything goes black. When I come to, I'm lying on a cot in the infirmary. The sterile smell of antiseptic fills the air, and the faint beeping of medical equipment is the only sound. "You're awake," a voice says, and I turn to see Connolly standing by my side, concern etched on his face. "What happened?" I ask, my voice hoarse. "You passed out. The doc says it was a stress-induced episode, probably triggered by everything that's been going on." I nod, trying to process his words. The flashbacks, the memories, they were more than just recollections. They were a warning, a guide to understanding the present. "Connolly, we need to figure this out," I say, sitting up slowly. "The disbandment of Cerberus, Samir's promotion, there's more to it than we realized." "I've been thinking the same thing," he replies, pulling up a chair. "There's something bigger at play here, and we need to get to the bottom of it." As we talk, more memories surface, each one adding a piece to the puzzle. The choices we made, the missions we undertook, even the friendships we forged, all of it led us here. The butterfly effect is real, and its consequences are far-reaching. "Remember that mission on Terran 4? Connolly asks, his voice thoughtful. "The one where you made that call to flank the enemy?" "I do," I reply, the memory still vivid. "What about it?" "I've always wondered if there was another way," he says, his eyes distant. "Maybe if we had taken a different route, things would be different." His words strike a chord, and I realize that he's right. Every decision, every action, had a ripple effect that shaped our fate. "Connolly, what if the disbandment of Cerberus is connected to something we did years ago?" I ask, the pieces starting to fit together. "It's possible," he replies, his brow furrowed in thought. "But how do we figure out what it was?" "We start by retracing our steps," I say, determination filling my voice. "We look at our past missions, our decisions, and see if there's a pattern." As we delve into our past, the flashbacks continue, each one revealing a new clue. I see the mission where we first encountered Deeg, a mysterious figure who seemed to know more about us than he should. His cryptic messages and veiled threats hinted at a larger conspiracy, one that I had dismissed at the time. "Be careful who you trust," Deeg had warned, his eyes piercing through the holographic screen. Not everything is as it seems. I had brushed off his words, focusing instead on the immediate threat. But now, in the quiet of my thoughts, I realized that his warning was more significant than I had understood. The next memory is of a quiet evening in the mess hall, just after a successful mission. The team was relaxed, joking and sharing stories. Samir and I sat together, discussing the future of Cerberus. "Do you ever think about what comes next?" he asked, his voice contemplative. "All the time," I replied. "But for now, all that matters is the mission and the team." "Yeah, the team," he echoed, a strange look in his eyes that I didn't recognize at the time. As these memories play out, I start to piece together the puzzle. The choices we made, the missions we undertook, even the friendships we forged, all of it led us here. The butterfly effect is real, and its consequences are far-reaching. "Jackson, do you think Samir knew something we didn't?" Connolly asks, his voice breaking through my thoughts. "It's possible," I reply, my mind racing. "We need to talk to him, find out what he knows." As we prepare to confront Samir, I can't help but feel a sense of urgency. The flashbacks have shown me that our past is intricately linked to our present, and the choices we made then are affecting us now. The butterfly effect is real, and it's up to us to unravel the web of decisions that has led us to this point. With Connolly by my side, I know that we can uncover the truth. The echoes of the past are guiding us, and it's time to face them head-on. The future of Fireteam Cerberus, and possibly much more, depends on it. Chapter 9. Connolly's subplot. The news of Cerberus dismantling had shaken my soul. Sitting on the edge of the pier, the waves gently crashing against the rocks, I tried to process everything. Samir had betrayed my trust. Connolly, one of the longest-standing members of Cerberus, approached, his presence a mix of comfort and discomfort. He had always been an enigmatic figure, a man of few words but decisive actions. "Jackson," he began, his voice firm but with a tone of vulnerability. "We need to talk." I looked at him, trying to decipher his intentions. "About what, Connolly? What else can go wrong?" He sat beside me, the weight of our years together visible on his shoulders. "There's something I need to get off my chest. Something I've been carrying for a long time." I sighed, feeling that this conversation would be another blow. "Speak, Connolly. I think I'm too numb to feel any more pain." He looked at the horizon, as if seeking courage in the waves. "Do you remember that mission on Varun 7? The one that almost cost us everyone's lives?" Varun 7. The name brought a flood of memories. An operation that turned into a disaster. How could I forget? It was one of the worst days of my life. Connolly continued, his voice trembling slightly. "I made a mistake. A big mistake. I knew there was a flaw in the navigation system, but I chose not to report it. I thought I could fix it in time, but I was wrong. My decision almost killed us." I was silent, processing his words. The incident on Varun 7 had been attributed to a technical error, a series of unfortunate events. I never imagined that Connolly was behind it. "Why didn't you tell me before?" I asked, my voice loaded with incredulity. He took a deep breath. "Because I was afraid. Afraid of being expelled. Afraid of losing the only family I've ever known. But now, with everything that's happening, I can't hide it anymore. I needed you to know." A heavy silence settled between us. Connolly had always been a pillar of strength, and seeing him so vulnerable shook me. "You should have trusted me, Connolly. We are a team. We've always been a team." He nodded, his eyes full of regret. "I know. And that's why I'm here now. To repair what I can. To help figure out what's really happening with Cerberus." I looked at him, seeing not just a teammate but a man haunted by his own decisions. "We'll get through this together, Connolly. But I need to know I can count on you." He looked me in the eyes, determination shining. "You can, Jackson. You always could." From that moment on, Connolly and I started sharing more of our experiences. He talked about the nightmares that still haunted him, the sleepless nights, reliving that fateful day on Voron 7. I shared my own demons, the tough decisions I had to make as captain, and the weight of responsibility that never really disappeared. "Jackson," Connolly said one night, as we sat around an improvised campfire. "Have you ever wondered why all this happened? Why Cerberus was dismantled?" I looked at the flames, losing myself in their hypnotic movements. "Of course I have. But all the answers I seek only lead to more questions." Connolly nodded. "I believe there's something bigger at play. Something we're not seeing." "What do you mean?" I asked, curious. "Samir," he replied. "Do you trust him?" The question caught me by surprise. Samir had been my friend, my successor. But his decision to accept the promotion and leave Cerberus without leadership had broken something between us. "I don't know anymore, Connolly. I want to trust, but all this makes me question his motivations." Connolly looked at the fire, thoughtful. "I think Samir is involved in something he doesn't fully understand. Something that forced him to make these decisions." "You think he's being manipulated?" I asked, trying to piece it together. "Possibly. Or maybe he's trying to protect something or someone. We need to find out the truth, Jackson. And for that, we need all the help we can get." That night, I decided that Connolly and I would investigate together. We needed to gather the remaining members of Cerberus, find out what Samir really knew, and understand the true reason behind our team's dismantling. The journey would be long and full of dangers, but it was a risk we were willing to take. In the following days, Connolly and I worked tirelessly. We contacted former members of Cerberus, some reluctant, others eager to help. Each meeting was a dive into the past, filled with memories and emotions. Connolly, in particular, seemed to find a kind of redemption in sharing his memories and admitting his mistakes. In one of these meetings, we were in a discreet bar, waiting for Zara, our communications specialist. She was one of the best, always able to intercept and decipher messages with frightening precision. When she walked in, her face was a mixture of surprise and relief. "Jackson, Connolly," she said, sitting at our table. "It's good to see you." "Zara," I replied, shaking her hand. "We need your help. Something big is happening, and we need to find out what it is." She looked at us seriously. "I'm in. What do you have so far?" Connolly and I shared everything we knew, from Samir's promotion to the suspicions of a larger conspiracy. Zara listened attentively, her mind already working on possible solutions. "We need more information," she finally said. "If Samir is being manipulated, we need to find out who's behind it. And for that, we need to access confidential communications." I nodded. "Do you think you can do that?" She smiled, a confident gleam in her eyes. "Leave it to me. I'll need time and resources, but if there's something to find, I'll find it." Connolly and I exchanged a look. We felt we were on the right path, but we knew the road would be long and full of obstacles. However, with Zara by our side, our determination strengthened. As we prepared to leave the bar, Connolly pulled me aside. "Jackson, thank you for listening to me. For giving me a chance at redemption." I placed a hand on his shoulder. "We are a team, Connolly. We always were and always will be. We'll get through this together." He nodded, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. The journey was just beginning, but with each step, we felt the echoes of the past guiding us, showing that despite the mistakes and betrayals, there was still a chance for redemption and truth. Chapter 10. It was an overcast morning when I received the message from Deeg. His name alone was enough to send a shiver down my spine. Deeg was a shadow, a phantom in the military circles, known but never truly seen, a man whose presence was felt through whispers and cryptic notes. I had never met him in person, but his reputation as a fixer of sorts preceded him. The message was simple: meet me at the old hangar at 1400 hours. We need to talk. I couldn't help but feel a knot tighten in my stomach. The old hangar was a relic from a bygone era, a testament to the countless missions and operations that had shaped my career and the lives of those in Fireteam Cerberus. The thought of returning there, especially under such mysterious circumstances, was unsettling. As I approached the hangar, its rusted doors creaked open, revealing a dimly lit interior. Deeg stood in the shadows, his figure partially obscured by the darkness. He was tall, with a presence that commanded attention even from a distance. His eyes, piercing and cold, locked onto mine as I stepped inside. "Jackson," Deeg greeted me, his voice as smooth as silk but carrying an underlying tone of authority. "Deeg," I replied, trying to mask the unease in my voice. "What's this about?" He motioned for me to follow him deeper into the hangar. "We have a situation," he began, his tone serious. "The equipment used by Cerberus needs to be returned." I raised an eyebrow. "Returned to whom? And why now?" Deeg stopped in front of a large crate, its contents hidden beneath a heavy tarp. "There are forces at play here, Jackson. Forces that go beyond just military bureaucracy." He pulled back the tarp, revealing an array of advanced weaponry and tactical gear, all bearing the insignia of Fireteam Cerberus. "These items are more than just tools of war," he continued. "They hold secrets, information that could jeopardize the security of not just our team, but possibly the entire network." I stepped closer, examining the equipment. Memories flooded back, missions where these very tools had saved our lives, moments of triumph and despair. "What kind of secrets are we talking about, Deeg?" He crossed his arms, his expression grave. "Technological advancements, classified data, sensitive intelligence. The kind of information that, in the wrong hands, could be catastrophic." I took a deep breath, trying to process the gravity of the situation. "Why now? Why is this suddenly an issue?" Deeg's eyes narrowed. "Because someone is looking for it. Someone with the means and the intent to use it against us." A chill ran down my spine. "Who?" "I don't have all the answers yet," Deeg admitted. "But I have reason to believe that this is connected to the disbandment of Cerberus." I felt a surge of anger. "You mean to tell me that everything we've worked for, everything we've bled for, is now at risk because of some hidden agenda?" Deeg nodded. "Yes, and it's imperative that we act quickly. We need to secure this equipment and find out who's behind this." I clenched my fists, feeling a mix of frustration and determination. "All right, what do you need from me?" Deeg placed a hand on my shoulder, a rare gesture of camaraderie. "I need you to trust me, Jackson. Together, we can get to the bottom of this. But we need to move fast." I nodded, the weight of the situation settling heavily on my shoulders. "All right, Deeg. Let's do this." Over the next few days, we worked tirelessly to secure the equipment. Deeg's network of contacts proved invaluable, providing us with the resources and information we needed. But it wasn't long before we encountered resistance. One evening, as we were loading the last of the crates into a secure transport vehicle, Deeg received an urgent call. His expression darkened as he listened, and I could sense the tension in the air. "We have a problem," he said, hanging up the phone. "Someone's onto us. We need to leave, now." We barely had time to react before a group of armed men stormed the hangar. Gunfire erupted, and chaos ensued. Deeg and I took cover behind a stack of crates, returning fire as best we could. "Who are these guys?" I shouted over the noise. "Mercenaries," Deeg replied, his voice strained. "Hired to stop us." I felt a surge of adrenaline as I fired at our attackers, the familiar weight of the rifle in my hands bringing a sense of focus. "We need to get out of here." Deeg nodded, his eyes scanning the area. "There. The side exit. Go, I'll cover you." I hesitated for a moment, but the urgency in his voice spurred me into action. I sprinted towards the exit, bullets whizzing past me. Deeg followed closely, providing cover fire. We burst through the door and into the night, the sounds of battle fading behind us. We didn't stop running until we reached a safe distance, our breaths heavy and ragged. "That was too close," I panted, leaning against a wall. Deeg nodded, his expression grim. They're getting desperate. We need to find out who's behind this, and fast. As we regrouped and planned our next move, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were on the edge of something much bigger than we had anticipated. The return of the equipment was just the beginning. There were secrets buried in the past, and uncovering them would be the key to securing our future. The days that followed were a whirlwind of investigation and strategy. Deeg's network proved invaluable, connecting us with allies and resources we never knew we had. But the deeper we delved, the more dangerous the situation became. One night, as we were going over our findings, Deeg looked at me with a solemn expression. Jackson, there's something you need to know. I raised an eyebrow. What is it? He hesitated for a moment before speaking. This whole situation, the disbandment of Cerberus, the return of the equipment, it's all connected to a larger conspiracy. One that involves some of the highest levels of command. I felt a chill run down my spine. What are you saying, Deeg? He leaned forward, his eyes intense. I'm saying that someone within our own ranks is pulling the strings. Someone who sees us as a threat to their power. I took a deep breath, trying to process the gravity of his words. Do you have any idea who it might be? Deeg shook his head. Not yet. But we're getting closer. And when we do find out, we need to be ready. The weight of his words hung heavily in the air. We were up against more than just external enemies, there were traitors within our own ranks, and uncovering them would be the key to saving Cerberus and securing our future. As we continued our investigation, the stakes grew higher. We faced countless obstacles and dangers, but with each step, we came closer to the truth. And through it all, the bond between Deeg and me grew stronger. Despite the uncertainties and the dangers, we were united in our mission. One evening, as we were preparing for another operation, Deeg turned to me. Jackson, I need you to know that no matter what happens, I've got your back. I looked at him, feeling a sense of camaraderie and trust that I hadn't felt in a long time. And I've got yours, Deeg. We'll get through this, together. With those words, we set out once more, determined to uncover the truth and protect the legacy of Fireteam Cerberus. The road ahead was uncertain, but with Deeg by my side, I knew we had a fighting chance. And as we moved forward, the echoes of the past guided us, reminding us of the strength and resilience that had defined Cerberus. We were more than just a team, we were a family, united by a shared mission and an unwavering resolve. The journey was far from over, but with each step, we came closer to uncovering the truth and securing the future of Fireteam Cerberus. And no matter what challenges lay ahead, we were ready to face them, together. Chapter 11. The moment I learned about Samir's promotion to captain of the Yosa, a whirlwind of emotions overwhelmed me. Betrayal, confusion, and a deep-seated need to understand his choices consumed my thoughts. Samir had been more than just my successor in Fireteam Cerberus, he had been a trusted friend, someone I believed would uphold the values and legacy of our team. I couldn't let this go without seeking answers. I decided to make my way to the Yosa. The ship was docked in a nearby military station, and I knew I needed to confront Samir face to face. The journey there was filled with a mixture of apprehension and determination. I replayed our last conversation over and over in my mind, trying to piece together any clues that might explain his sudden departure and the subsequent disbandment of Cerberus. When I arrived at the docking bay, the sight of the Yosa was imposing. It was a state-of-the-art vessel, sleek and powerful, a testament to the military's latest advancements. But there was an air of tension around it, a palpable sense that not everything was as it seemed. As I approached the ship, I was greeted by a stern-faced officer who directed me to the captain's quarters. The door slid open with a soft hiss, and there he was, Samir, sitting behind a large desk cluttered with reports and data pads. He looked up, his eyes reflecting a mixture of surprise and resignation. Jackson, he said, his voice carrying a weight of unspoken emotions. I didn't expect to see you here. I didn't expect to be here either, I replied, taking a seat across from him. But after everything that's happened, I need answers, Samir. I need to understand why you left Cerberus and why our team was disbanded. He sighed, leaning back in his chair. It's complicated, Jackson. More complicated than you realize. Then make me understand, I urged. Help me see things from your perspective. For a moment, silence hung between us, thick and heavy. Then Samir began to speak, his voice tinged with a mix of regret and determination. When I accepted the promotion to captain of the Yosa, I thought I was doing the right thing, he explained. I believed that by taking on this new role, I could make a greater impact, contribute to the military's efforts on a larger scale. But things didn't go as planned. He paused, his eyes distant as if recalling a painful memory. The crew here, they don't trust me. They see me as an outsider, someone who abandoned his previous team for personal gain. There's been resistance, pushback on every decision I make. It's been a constant struggle to assert my authority and prove my worth. But why leave Cerberus? I asked, unable to hide the hurt in my voice. We were a team, a family. You were supposed to lead us, carry on the mission we started together. Do you think I wanted to leave? He retorted, his voice rising slightly. Do you think it was an easy decision? I was torn, Jackson. I felt an obligation to take this opportunity, to step up and take on a new challenge. But in doing so, I underestimated the impact it would have on Cerberus. I didn't foresee the fallout, the way our team would be dismantled. I could see the genuine anguish in his eyes, the internal battle he had faced. It was a stark reminder that leadership often comes with difficult choices, ones that aren't always black and white. So what now? I asked, my tone softening. Where do we go from here? Samir leaned forward, his gaze steady and earnest. I need your help, Jackson. The Yosa is facing its own challenges, and I can't do this alone. I need someone I can trust, someone who understands the stakes and can help me bring this crew together. His words struck a chord within me. Despite everything, despite the betrayal and the anger, I knew that Samir was still the same man I had trusted with Cerberus. He was trying to navigate a difficult path, and he needed support. All right, I said, a sense of resolve settling over me. I'll help you. But we need to get to the bottom of this. We need to understand why Cerberus was disbanded and what the larger implications are. There's something more going on here, and we need to uncover the truth. Samir nodded, a flicker of hope in his eyes. Agreed. We'll work together, just like old times. We'll find the answers we need and set things right. As we began to discuss our next steps, I couldn't help but feel a sense of déjà vu, as if the echoes of our past were guiding us towards a new mission. The challenges ahead were daunting, but with Samir by my side, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. We would face the obstacles together, uncover the hidden truths, and perhaps, in the process, find a way to restore the honor of Fireteam Cerberus. The days that followed were a flurry of activity. I was officially brought on board the Yosa as a strategic advisor, a role that allowed me to work closely with Samir and the crew. It was clear from the outset that earning their trust would be an uphill battle. The crew was a diverse mix of seasoned veterans and fresh recruits, each with their own preconceptions and reservations about Samir's leadership. One evening, as I was reviewing tactical reports in the ship's mess hall, a young officer named Lieutenant Reyes approached me. He was one of the more vocal critics of Samir, and I could sense the tension in his demeanor. Captain Jackson, he began, his tone cautious. Can I speak with you for a moment? I nodded, setting the reports aside. Of course, Lieutenant. What's on your mind? He took a seat across from me, his expression serious. I've been hearing rumors, whispers among the crew about why Captain Samir left Cerberus. Some say he was forced out, others think he abandoned his team for personal gain. It's causing a lot of unrest. I leaned forward, meeting his gaze. I understand your concerns, Lieutenant. But let me assure you, Samir didn't abandon Cerberus lightly. There were complicated factors at play, and he believed he was making the best decision for everyone involved. Reyes frowned, clearly struggling with conflicting feelings. It's hard to trust someone when there are so many uncertainties. The crew needs transparency, a reason to believe in his leadership. Trust is earned through actions, not just words, I replied. Samir is committed to proving himself, and I'm here to support him. Together, we'll navigate these challenges and earn the crew's trust. But we need everyone to be on board, willing to give him a chance. Reyes nodded slowly, the tension in his shoulders easing slightly. All right, Captain. I'll do my best to convey that to the others. But it won't be easy. I know, I said with a reassuring smile. But we'll face this together, as a team. As Reyes left, I felt a sense of determination settle over me. The journey to restore Samir's credibility and uncover the truth behind Cerberus' disbandment would be arduous, but it was a mission worth pursuing. With each passing day, I saw glimpses of the old Samir, the leader I had once trusted implicitly. And slowly, the crew began to see it too. We faced numerous trials, from external threats to internal dissent, but with each victory, the bonds of trust grew stronger. Samir's leadership began to shine through, his decisions reflecting the strategic brilliance that had once defined him as a member of Cerberus. And through it all, we remained united, driven by a shared purpose. In the quiet moments between missions, Samir and I often found ourselves reflecting on the past, the choices that had led us here, and the path forward. The echoes of our history served as both a reminder of our mistakes and a guide to our future. One evening, as we stood on the observation deck, gazing out at the stars, Samir spoke softly. Do you ever wonder if we could have done things differently, Jackson? If there was another way? I looked at him, seeing the weight of leadership in his eyes. Of course. But what's done is done. All we can do now is learn from our past and strive to make better choices moving forward. He nodded, a faint smile touching his lips. You're right. And with you by my side, I believe we can. The journey was far from over, but with each step, we moved closer to uncovering the truth and restoring the honor of Fireteam Cerberus. Together, we faced the unknown, ready to confront whatever challenges lay ahead. And through it all, the spirit of Cerberus lived on, guiding us with the strength and resilience that had always defined us. Chapter 12. As the mission to uncover the truth behind the disbandment of Fireteam Cerberus reached its climax, the stakes had never been higher. Samir, Connolly, Deeg, and I had pieced together the fragments of a conspiracy that reached the highest levels of command. The journey had been fraught with danger, betrayal, and hard-fought victories, but our resolve had only strengthened. The final confrontation took place in a hidden facility deep within enemy territory. We had learned that a shadowy faction within the military, known as the Black Hand, had orchestrated the events that led to Cerberus' downfall. Their goal was to consolidate power and control, using advanced technology and covert operations to eliminate any perceived threats. As we infiltrated the facility, the tension was palpable. Every step brought us closer to the heart of the conspiracy, and the knowledge that our actions could determine the future of not just Cerberus, but the entire military network. Stay sharp, I whispered to the team as we moved through the dimly lit corridors. This place is bound to be heavily guarded. Samir nodded, his eyes scanning the area. We'll make it through, Jackson. Just like old times. We encountered resistance almost immediately. The Black Hand operatives were well-trained and heavily armed, but our combined skills and determination proved to be more than a match. The sound of gunfire echoed through the facility as we fought our way towards the central control room. Deeg, can you access their systems? I called out as we secured the area. Already on it, he replied, his fingers flying over the terminal. Just need a few more seconds. As Deeg worked, I glanced at Samir. This is it. We find out who's behind all this and put an end to it. He nodded, a look of fierce determination in his eyes. For Cerberus. For Cerberus, I echoed. With a final keystroke, Deeg unlocked the control room doors. We stormed inside, finding ourselves face to face with the mastermind behind the Black Hand, a high-ranking officer who had been pulling the strings all along. Captain Jackson, Captain Samir, the officer greeted us with a cold smile. I must say, I'm impressed by your tenacity. This ends now, I said, leveling my weapon at him. You're going to answer for everything you've done. The officer laughed, a chilling sound that sent shivers down my spine. Do you really think you can stop us? The Black Hand is more powerful than you can imagine. We'll see about that, Samir replied, stepping forward. We're not just fighting for Cerberus. We're fighting for the truth, for justice. In a tense standoff, we managed to subdue the officer and secure the facility. The data we uncovered provided irrefutable evidence of the Black Hand's activities, leading to a widespread purge of corrupt elements within the military. The aftermath of the operation was a whirlwind of debriefings and hearings. The truth about the disbandment of Fireteam Cerberus was brought to light, and steps were taken to prevent such a conspiracy from ever occurring again. Our names were cleared, and the legacy of Cerberus was restored. As we stood together in the aftermath, the weight of our journey settled upon us. Samir, Connolly, Deeg, and I had faced impossible odds and emerged victorious. The bond we shared had been tested and strengthened, and the spirit of Cerberus lived on. What's next for us? Connolly asked, a hint of a smile on his lips. I looked at my friends, my brothers in arms, and felt a sense of hope and purpose. We rebuild. We move forward. And we honor the legacy of Cerberus by continuing to fight for what we believe in. Samir placed a hand on my shoulder. Together. Together, I agreed, feeling the weight of our journey lift as a new chapter began. As we looked towards the future, the echoes of the past guided us, a reminder of the strength and resilience that had always defined Fireteam Cerberus. The challenges we faced had forged us into a stronger, more united team, ready to face whatever lay ahead. And with that, we stepped into the light, ready to continue our mission and uphold the values that had always driven us. For Cerberus, for the truth, and for each other.